All right, now it's time for a deep dive. As you know, Gina, we're doing a series on Let's Talk About Mental Health. We're
Mm.
helping to remove the stigma by having more conversations around this. So we want to do our part and do the same. So, can you describe a time of that you struggled with your mental health, either that or someone so close to you struggled with theirs?
Absolutely. My struggle personally started all the way back when I was 8 years old. And I battled with suicidality from the age of 9 to 28. So many years.
Oh
And
my goodness, that is so heartbreaking. I just have to take a moment. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh
yeah, I know that age you don't quite hear every single day.
no.
Um, and, unfortunately, I feel like it's probably more common than people realize.
Oh my goodness.
Um, and, I started off being depressed, at age 8. My parents split kind of unexpectedly to me. And so I didn't really understand the emotions and stuff that I was navigating at that point because you're so young.
Right.
And then when I was 9, I started dealing with sexual abuse. And with that, I was seeking ways to like get it to end, get it to stop. Um, I wasn't in a position where I could share what was going on because there was a lot of verbal threats being made about what would happen if I did say anything. And so trying to figure out in my small, very innocent brain, you know,
Goodness.
how to deal with something so large and complicated. Um,
Well,
I, I don't even know how the indicate inclination came to me, that that's what I needed to do. All I can think at this stage of my life, because I am so invested and deep into my faith and things like that, is that that was not a higher power, but that was a deep darkness that was setting in and influencing me and my decision making.
you're saying the darkness that was going on around you was influencing you? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like, like when I think of God, I think of light. When I think of the devil, I think of darkness.
Yeah.
And I really was so entrenched, even at that young age, in being depressed, um, that I was just kind of in this haze, I feel like.
Well, at that age, how could you possibly have had the skills or the
Mm,
knowledge to be able to deal? You were just trying to live through the day. I mean,
mm,
horrible things happen, and although it sounds like your life wasn't necessarily in danger, the quality of your life was so poor as you were being, abused, and as if your parent splitting wasn't enough, then we've got this huge assault on this tiny little body, and we're not made to be able to cope and deal with something like that.
yeah, agreed.
Well, okay, so you somehow made it through these years, and what changed for you? Because you went 9 to 28. What changed for you at 28?
I was sitting in the middle of my living room in my apartment, and I was so low and had made a plan to take my life. And I had had attempts over the years. Um, this particular plan would have been far more successful, I'll put it that way,
Okay.
than others. And I sat there, and in that moment, I made a deal with God. And
Mm.
I told him that I was going to reach out to a friend of mine on the phone. And if she answered, I would not go through with it.
Oh,
But if she didn't, I would.
oh,
And she did answer because I'm here
oh.
today. And so I know that in that moment, God nudged her and said, whatever you're doing, you need to stop and you need to answer this phone call.
Oh my gosh. Did she learn later that this kind of
Hmm.
quote unquote deal? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, I really, God, it's really hard to find the words and really express and articulate how devastating our lives can be. Okay, I had to snap into the microphone, make sure things are happening. What I was saying is that God continues to be good and he continues to work in these really horrific, horrendous, awful situations. And I'm so grateful that even though, you made that deal, so to speak, that the prompt for your friend to have answered, and that is so, so beautiful. Absolutely incredible. Oh wow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what part of the conversation we cut out at, but I'm still coming in. Okay. Wow, wow, wow. I I don't know if I need a thesaurus handy or what to start pulling up words to express just the horrors that we inflict upon one another. I mean, broken people continue to break people as much as they
Hmm.
can because they're broken and they didn't get what they needed. I mean, it just you just trace it, go back and back and back and back. Oh my goodness. Well, my heart breaks for what you went through, and I rejoice for where you are now, that you
Hmm.
are at a much, much better place. And obviously, you got through it because you reached out to this friend and you two connected. And then was that sort of your bottom, and then you were able to come up?
Absolutely. Yeah. She was a great listening ear in that moment for me. And she didn't know exactly like, how bad my state of mind was. And I started leaning into my faith little by little since then. And, I've said for many years, God and I have always had a complicated relationship, you know, not by his choosing, but by mine, and just, learning to really trust um, and lean into him. And I just, I started digging in and doing some of the really hard work,
Like,
like trying to get to the root cause of um, a lot of my trauma and pain. And there's still little bits and pieces that even now surface, because we tend to just push them as far in the back of our mind as we can get it.
yeah, yes.
um, and it took me many, many, many therapists over the years to finally find one that is amazing. And that's just been within the last 4 years. So between that and really growing my faith in God, and having courageous conversations with people that I've needed to over the years, um, just to talk through different circumstances,
Hmm.
um, because that aids not only in my own healing, but in their healing and our healing as a relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, those are all extraordinarily helpful. Finding a therapist who has enough training and expertise to be able to kind of walk you through part of the healing process, and then having your faith to help deepen what you're doing and where you want to go. And then having courageous conversations with people, to be able to share where you're at and where you want to be and where you want to go. I think that is very inspirational. Um, were you surrounded by, I'm just assuming, and I don't want to assume, some really good people too, friends, family. I mean, a handful of people that were your people that showed up for you.
Over the years, I have definitely learned who are those people and who are not those people. I would say at this stage of my life, those that are very few and far between.
Okay.
Um, and I don't care if I have one person or 50 people, as long as I have the people that I can truly trust to go to, that's what matters to me.
Absolutely. The numbers don't matter. It's the quality and the connection and
Mm-hmm.
the trust.
That's the hugest piece for me is
Right.
over the years, I didn't feel like there was a lot of people I could trust.
Mm.
And, I also dealt with a lot of not wanting to burden people,
Oh gosh.
you know,
Yes.
that's such a terrible cycle that we get stuck in. Especially
Yes.
those people that love you the most, they don't see it that way, but we do.
Yes. So true.
Hmm.
It's hard to receive, isn't it?
It really is.
And it's
Yeah.
it's hard to say, oh my gosh, I have a need. I need you to pour into me. I mean, it's so hard to admit.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's especially when someone is struggling really terribly with their mental health, whether they're suicidal or not, that's when it's most important for us to be able to know that there's even one person that we can truly go to
Mhm.
and be there to support us and without judgment, because that's another big thing. You want to know that they're not going to change their opinion of you, or aren't going
Yes.
to make you feel like you're less than. I mean, there's so many different dynamics to the mental health issues,
Yes.
which is why I think so many people choose to suffer silently.
Mm. What would you tell those people?
Oh, I mean, I would tell them it's really important to do the work to try to heal. I mean, I know when I was really in the trenches, I didn't ever really want to die. When I was
Ah.
attempting my life, I wanted the pain to stop. And so I was trying different coping mechanisms, or, you know, whatever it may have been, because I was trying to find a solution to end the pain.
Right. Oh my gosh, that is such a nugget right there that you didn't actually want to die. You wanted the pain to stop. And you were limited probably in your coping skills at that time. And
Mm-hmm.
you were just reaching out in desperation to find a solution.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's certainly not easy to want to really dig in and heal yourself, especially when things are painful, because we tend to resist doing anything that's uncomfortable. And then really sitting back and thinking, who do I have as a trusted resource to go to? If it's no one within my inner circle, do and take the steps that you need to do to find that person. There's
Mhm.
been multiple times throughout my life where my best resource was a third party, someone who was not involved in the situation at all, because they could tell it to me straight, which that's the kind of therapy I need. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't tell me what you think I need to hear.
Yes.
Just lay it on me.
Right, right,
And but it's different for everybody, because not
right.
everybody has someone within their inner circle.
Hmm. That's really key to find at least one trusted person, and even if it is like you say, sort of a third party, somebody who's not really
Mhm.
in your life, it makes a huge difference. So, Gina, what good would you say came from this journey that it has been your life, this part of it in particular?
I would say the two biggest pieces for me is the growth I have been able to have in my faith walk. I mean, I'm big time on fire for God at this point in my life.
Okay.
And there's no going back. Like, he's number one. And, you know, just really coming to the understanding and realization as to how strong of a person I really am.
Mm.
He has really held that up and, you know, shined a light on it for me.
Mm.
And I have come to the realization that my pain is for his purpose.
Mm.
You know, that is my purpose, is to take my experiences to share them so that other people can feel seen and heard and not alone. I guess you could say I really want to be the person I needed when I was going through it.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Yes. Oh my goodness. That is so good. And do you have a platform and a way to do that now?
Um, I am uh, using like my Facebook and my Instagram to, I'll post little pieces of my writing since I'm working on my first book right now. And whether it's a piece of poetry or a little snippet from a chapter I'm working on or whatever it may be. Um, and my first book is actually on my journey with binge eating disorder, which is where, which,
Wow.
which is it that started after my parents split, and then it just had progressed over the years through different traumas I'd experienced.
Oh my goodness. Well, that's a whole
And
other facet of this. Wow.
yeah, and I have at least 5 books in me, so
Oh, well, that's great because there is a lot to be said for story and
mm-hmm.
sharing our stories so that somebody else can be encouraged, somebody else can be inspired, somebody else can say, oh my gosh, if she could do it, maybe I can too.
Yeah.
Well, that's absolutely, and that really, that's why we have this podcast, as far as I'm concerned. It's to be able to share parts of people's stories so that other people can feel, have hope and feel uplifted and seen and heard, like you were saying. I love that notion of being seen and heard. Yeah, we need to help make that a reality for more and more people. How can people find you if they want to connect with you?
Well, right now, it is Facebook and Instagram under my name, Geena Hymer. And I am working on getting my website up and going, which will be the same name.
Okay.
Just good old GeenaHymer.com. Um, keep it
Okay.
nice and simple.
Right. And Geena, I should tell you listeners, is Geena. Just, we're spelling it a little different here.
We are. And then the last name is HYM as in Mary ER.
There you go. Is there
Yeah.
anything you didn't get to say that you wanted to say?
You know, I just appreciate you and other hosts that have these types of platforms that gives
Oh,
the opportunity to share experiences, because we are, like you said, we all need that encouragement and need that hope. Um, and, you know, before I start recording any podcast that I'm on, I always say a simple prayer, in that it finds the ears that need to hear it.
mm,
And that's all I can ask.
right, right. Yeah. And you show up and you're you. And that's another big piece of, the message we're trying to get out is, whoever you are, be that and be a good one, be,
Mhm.
you know, yeah. Well, Geena, what a pleasure this has been. And I thank Amber again for
Mhm.
wonderful recommendation of having this time to connect with you. Thank you so much for being a guest.
You're welcome.